Let's face it, MULTIVERSUS has done the insane task of just staying so relevant for so long in its beta process and being an awesome game just to play, to record, to stream, and do everything else about. However, because it's a fighter game, that obviously means there's going to be some characters who are better than others. Which is why in today's YouTube video, one of the least qualified people to actually make a content talking about the tiering of every single character in MULTIVERSUS, is going to be making a MULTIVERSUS tier list video just to tell you guys what I believe is the best character to play and the absolute worst. Just stay away from that trash type of characters out there. Now, something I will mention right away is that the tier list I'm using actually includes Morty and Rick Sanchez, both of which have not released as of yet, so this tier list will not be including them at all. They'll just be sitting here at the bottom for, moral support. But to start us off, let's go ahead and talk about the characters I personally have been using a lot recently, and I believe are really high up there in the tiering, which is, of course, going to be Finn and Superman. Right away, I'm putting Finn and Superman up in the S tier because these are the two I've been maining a lot. But when I mentioned it and, announced on Twitter that I was maining these two characters, I got a lot of opinions from people being like, oh, you're maining those because they're the easiest ones to use. They're so overpowered. You're trash at the game. We get it. You gotta use the easy ones. And let's face it, listen, back when I played Smash Bros. Ultimate on my Switch, I would always just end up messing around with friends by playing Kirby and spamming that sword attack. So maybe I am a little bit of a spammer who likes using some cheap shots to win their battles, but overall I feel that in their current state, Finn and Superman, even though I main them a lot, and even though a lot of people think they're very easy characters to use, are actually going to be S tier slots for me, just because they're awesome, alright? And on the flip side, let's go ahead and talk about the opposite of Superman, which has gotta be Batman. Now, this one's a hard spot for me. I can't really think of where exactly I want to put Batman. I'm gonna put it in A tier, and let me explain why. I haven't seen a lot of Batmans in the wild. I've been seeing a lot more like Iron Giants, Tazes, and those type of characters in the wild, but with Batman, it really just feels like a more techie version of Superman, where it has a higher learning curve, and you don't have the ability to actually shield yourself when charging up an attack or something like that. Obviously, I'm not the biggest brain when it comes to knowing how Batman works, so, I might be a little off here or there, but at the same time, I do feel that Batman is a little bit of like just a weaker Superman in MULTIVERSUS. And now I just kind of want to get some characters out of the way. Here are some of the ones that I haven't played as much, but I do have experience fighting against. So firstly, we got Arya Stark, which is like the Game of Thrones character, if I remember correctly. I'm going to put them in the B tier, not because they're a bad character at all. I've seen some people actually be pretty good with Arya Stark, and if you're able to pull off a face steal, you can get some extra damage on an opponent by just using that own opponent's attacks, like if you were Kirby. So I have seen some people being good players as Arya, but I personally just could never use this character. On top of that, I'm going to put Rain Dog in the B tier as well, and the reason for this one is just because I've never really seen anyone run Rain Dog. Like, the only time I've really seen some people run Rain Dog is if they have some other friends to, play with and want to do some synergizing with Rain Dog's moves and their teammates, but overall, it takes a really, rare amount of person to actually end up running this character, which is the Player First Games original character, over the thousands of basically endless characters that, are from big franchises and people might be fans of. And then next up, I want to talk about Harley Quinn. Now, I'm going to put this in the A tier. The reason why is because Harley Quinn on their own can be a pretty confusing character to use, but once you start learning how to use Harley Quinn, I feel that they can be very effective, especially if you're trying to aim to knock people out, KO them through the top of the ring, because I've seen some people manage to combo some up attacks using Harley Quinn in order to get their opponents just to get knocked out of the game, eliminated, KO'd, whatever you want to call it, just by hitting them upwards and upwards and upwards. So Harley Quinn definitely can be a very nice character to use, but I feel that, they're just not used as much as some of the other characters, despite them being pretty powerful. And you know what, after looking at the list down here, I think I'm just going to start ranking some of these right away and then explaining it to you guys afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and put Jake in the A tier, I'm going to put Steven in the B tier, I'm going to put Shaggy in the B tier as well, I'm going to put Bugs in the C tier, Garnet in the C tier, and then just to start a little bit of, a debate in the comments down below, I'm going to put Iron Giant down in D tier. So let's go ahead and go through these. So firstly, I find Jake to be a very fun character to play, and it's an Adventure Time character. I love playing Finn, so if I get my Jake buddy along with me, it's going to be a fun time. But the intro interesting thing about Jake that I've seen some people make some amazing clips doing is the whole entire ability where you can stretch out as Jake in order to have this rubber stomach where you can actually attack players just by stretching and then unstretching. And I find some of the moves people have been able to use with Jake to just be pretty fascinating to watch, and it can really confuse some players who might just be trying to attack every single chance they get whenever they see your body. Now, when it comes to Steven Universe and Shaggy, the reason why I put these two in the B tier is just because, let's face it, you know, they're overall just good characters to use, but personally, I just don't really find any enjoyment from them. I do have one friend that, like, absolutely hates Steven Universe stuff, so they absolutely try staying away from that character at all and target Steven Universe characters if, you know, they're in the match just because they despise it. But personally, I don't really have any gripes about these characters, and I don't really have anything to say that's, like, good towards them. They're just in the neutral area where I'm like, if they get a small little buff here, that's nice, but at the same time, I don't think they really need a buff or a nerf in order for some pro players to efficiently use these two characters. However, in the C tier, I have Bugs Bunny and Garnet. Now, firstly, Bugs Bunny is in here just because I rarely ever see anyone actually use bugs. The only time I've really ever seen people use bugs is when they want to just start throwing down random, you know, rockets and AMC things and everything, but I never see anyone actually use Bugs Bunny effectively enough to the point where I want to put this at a higher spot on the tier list. I feel that maybe the moves are just too confusing for this character compared to other ones, or maybe people just haven't gotten enough time to learn how to use bugs, but yeah, I personally just see them in the C tier. And then with Garnet, a lot of their moves are really just, you know, fist punching, through shooting your fist out at opponents and just trying to use your fist for some long range attacks, which just feel kind of weird. Now, there are some good things you can do with Garnet, it's just personally, I feel that they deserve that C slot for now, and maybe we should give them a buff later down the line. And now when it comes to Iron Giant, who I've decided to put in the D tier, I think this one was mainly put down here just because, you know, personally, in my own opinion here, I know the one person on my Discord server is a moderator is going to be so mad at me right now, but in my own opinion, I think that Iron Giant is just a very clunky character to use, because if you are good with Iron Giant, you can get some massive attacks off, right? You can pop off and be really good. However, at the exact same time, Iron Giant is a literal giant. It's the biggest character in the game, which makes it one of the easiest characters to actually hit, but also get hit by. So you know what, after saying that out loud, I think we're just going to keep it there, but if I was to make a new little slot on this tier list, I think I would do a C- and maybe try putting it there in like a C or a C- slot. And then for our final few characters here, I'm going to go ahead and put Taz in the C tier. I'm going to put Tom and Jerry over here in the A tier, actually. I'm going to put Velma in the B tier. I'm going to put Wonder Woman in the C tier. And then I'm going to put LeBron James in the C tier as well. Now let's go ahead and explain all of this. So firstly, why did I put Tom and Jerry in the A tier? Well, firstly, I find Tom and Jerry just have a fun moveset to use because, I mean, you're sitting there and all of your attacks aren't based on actually attacking the opponent, but based on attacking, well, Jerry. And I just find the way that the whole entire attack system works just to make the characters so much more fascinating and a lot more unique than the type of characters you see in fighting games nowadays, but also this character is still able to pack quite a punch. Now, in the B tier, we went ahead and put Velma in there just because they're one of those characters where I'm like, I'm fine with them either way. They're a little bit confusing to me, but at the same time, if you do use Velma, you can be very powerful Velma characters out there, and you can definitely dominate some people. Now, recently, Velma did have that nerf that actually made them lighter, which made it so they could fly around the, the map and stuff a lot easier when they get knockbacked, but overall, they're still a pretty solid character. However, in the C tier, I want to start off by actually moving Taz down to the D tier. I know, Iron Giant man, you got yourself a friend here. Iron Giant mains and Taz mains, you both can stay at the bottom of the list. Now let me explain why with Taz. Nerf Taz, we had it so the main attack I always saw them do was just the tornado attack, just non-stop using this tornado attack, and I feel that after the nerf that had happened recently with Taz, no one really even runs this character, because everyone just kind of, used it for the tornado attack, and that was it. And I just don't see anyone ever running Taz anymore in matches. Now, obviously, I'm more of a bot lobby player anyways, so I guess, you know, it makes sense I don't see actual players using Taz, but I just feel like it's just kind of a mediocre character in its current state, and they need to find a way to balance it where people aren't just spamming the same move over and over and over again, but also make it so it's a fun character that, you know, is going to be used quite a bit. And with that said, it's time to talk about our last two, which is Wonder Woman and LeBron James. So firstly, Wonder Woman is a character where I am fine with this, right? Like, this is a B to C tier character. It's just personally with how they get played and how you play as them, I have to put them down in the C tier. The reason why is because they're more of like a shielding character. Most of their moves are more about, you know, actually shielding yourself or trying to shield your teammates, and it kind of is hard to actually learn how to use this character in my own unique ways, where I just feel myself not in the type of character classing here, and I haven't been able to find really anyone who's a good synergizer when it comes to using Wonder Woman's in 2v2s. So that's just why I put them there, but in the final slot here, we have to talk about LeBron. LeBron is a character who has wonderful memes. You know, there's tons of stuff people have already done regarding this character, and I've seen him do some combo moves that absolutely sweep the entire floor. But overall, when it comes to LeBron's actual skill set, I feel that they aren't really the best character in their current state, and they probably need a few buffs here and there just to make their moves a little bit nicer. Because if you do know how to use this character and you do know how to get combos off, you can be really good with this character, and I've seen some just insane plays with it already. But overall, it just is kind of like there for the meme, it feels like, and it doesn't really feel like its moveset was fully fleshed out. With that said, however, this video was just my opinion, and let's face it, I'm going to have a terrible opinion when it comes to MULTIVERSUS stuff because I am a absolute trash can at this game. After I record this video and edit it, I'm probably going to try out some actual matches once again and get my butt whooped. But hey, you know, if you disagreed with this little tier list, feel free to go ahead and leave a dislike down below. Anyways, with that said, my name's FireMonkey. If you enjoyed today's YouTube video, consider subscribing and support the content I create, and I'll catch you champs and champettes in the next one. Peace out.